Hello, everyone, and welcome today to today's roundtable, Sustainable Finance in Japan, Accelerating the Green Transformation. My name's Andrew. I'm a Tokyo-based consultant at KEXC&C, a strategic corporate communications consulting firm. We have the pleasure of supporting FinCity.Tokyo with their global media outreach, and this webinar is part of those efforts. I will be your moderator for today's roundtable. And we would like to start off with some opening remarks by FinCity.Tokyo. So I would like to pass the torch to Oyama-san from FinCity to start us off today.
Thank you for kind introduction. Let me share my screen. Okay. Can you hear? Can you see my screen? Okay. Okay, here. So hello again, everyone. My name is Tomoko Oyama from FCT. Today, before we start today's session, I'd like to briefly introduce our organization, like our purpose or our role. So please allow me to share a little about who we are and what we do. So first, I will explain who we are. As you may know, FCT stands for the Organization of Global Financial City Tokyo, which is a bit of a long name. We are the first public-private financial promotion organization in Japan, established in April 2019 under the leadership of the Tokyo Metropolitan Government. This year marks our 5th anniversary. Our mission is simple but ambitious. We aim to elevate Tokyo's status as a leading international finance city. To achieve this, as you can see on the slide, we focus on 4 key missions. So this leads me to what exactly it is that we do. We focus on 4 main activities, like promoting Tokyo internationally, attracting foreign financial institutions, collaborating with relevant authorities to provide policy recommendations, and incorporating feedback from industry players. Especially for the promotion of Tokyo, we organize various financial events like this roundtable today. Later in this presentation, I'll introduce some of our upcoming events as well. We also host seminars, forums, and share ideas across the financial sector. Through our activities, we have helped 10 global firms with a combined AUM of nearly $1.3 trillion enter the Japanese market since 2022. We think this rapid influxes of new financial players has significantly enhanced Tokyo's competitiveness as an international financial center. And we are fortunate to be supported by a wide and diverse group of members, as you can see. When we launched in 2019, we had about 30 founding members. And as of September this year, we've grown to more than 50 members. Thanks to this broad support, we built a strong financial ecosystem, which plays a key role in fostering good relationships with our partners and making effective policy recommendations. Now, let's talk about the kind of international financial center we aim to build. One of our main goals is to become a global leader in sustainable finance. To achieve this, we're focusing on several key initiatives, like using the power of finance to support the transition to net zero emissions, and building up Tokyo's financial functions and creating an advanced asset management ecosystem to drive capital towards sustainable investment. And finally, leading agents decarbonization efforts through international cooperation. We believe Tokyo can play a leading role in sustainable finance and grow as a financial center in Asia through these efforts. And so, why is sustainable finance so important? As Japan advances towards its ambitious goal of achieving carbon neutrality by 2050, sustainable finance has emerged as a pivotal force driving this green transformation. For Japan's continued economic growth, it's crucial to focus on long-term sustainable strategies. This means investing in sectors that boost innovation and help accumulate capital. By concentrating our resources in these areas, we can enhance Japan's potential for future growth and ensure that our economy remains competitive on the global stage. And we are already seeing significant progress. Japanese companies have been issuing transition bonds at an increasing rate, with insurance volumes growing by over 1.5 times year on year. This highlights that sustainable finance is becoming an essential tool, not only addressing global social issues, but also in advancing Japan's growth strategies. And finally, let me introduce an upcoming event a little bit hosted by FCT. From October 2nd to 11th, we'll hold Tokyo Sustainable Finance Week 2024. This event will focus on sustainable finance, it's a very hot topic, and future content designed for both businesses and consumers. This week kicks off on October 2nd with the Tokyo-London Green Finance Seminar hosted by the Tokyo Metropolitan Government. One of the highlights will be the forum on October 4th, where experts from Japan and around the world will discuss the current states and the future of sustainable finance. If you're interested, I highly encourage you to participate. And to further accelerate sustainable finance and achieve Japan's goals of achieving carbon neutrality by 2050, tireless efforts by both public and private sectors and their collaborative approach is more and more crucial. In today's roundtable, we'll explore how financial markets and institutions are not only supporting, but also accelerating the nation's transition to a low-carbon economy with the two experts from public and private sectors. I hope this event will contribute to Japan's journey towards solving social challenges through sustainable finance. Okay, that's all for my presentation. Thank you for your attention, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Oyama-san. So today we have two experts joining us to discuss sustainable finance-related issues today. And I will let them introduce themselves because I think they will do a much better job than I can. And I'd like to first start with Ikeda-san. Ikeda-san, if you could please briefly introduce yourself.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation to this roundtable. I am right now serving as a Chief Sustainable Finance Officer for the Japan Financial Services Agency, which is the supervisory authority for the banking sector, insurance sector, broker dealers, and asset managers in Japan, as well as act as a kind of policy maker for the financial sector as a whole. And so in that sense, Japan FSA covers a wide range of financial related issues. And of course, one of the most important agenda is sustainable finance. So Japan FSA created the role of Chief Sustainable Finance Officer in 2019, and at the creation of that role, I assume that role, and I continue to serve as a Chief Sustainable Finance Officer for Japan FSA. So I really look forward to the discussions today. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Next, Onozuka-san, if you could please introduce yourself as well.
Hi, everyone. My name is Emi Onozuka. Thank you very much for having me today. Just to give you a brief background, I have served in the financial sector for 25 years. The longest one is at Goldman Sachs Asset Management. And while I was at Goldman, I have focused my efforts on ESG and sustainable investment, kind of from the angle of stewardship and ESG company analysis. Now I'm an independent advisor to corporates and organizations like municipals, as well as sitting on the expert panel for sustainable finance at the FSA. Along with that, I also sit as an independent director for 3 types of company. So one is a listed manufacturer called Musashi Seimitsu Industry, very much in the midst of once in 100 years challenge of auto sector transformation, very much focused on this green transformation. The second one is an Daiwa Asset Management, which unlisted, but part of the bigger Daiwa Securities group, and very much focused on how we can lead this green transformation from financial sector. And the third, another type is actually a former printing company, but now I guess it's a DX company, who helps to create regulatory reporting, which actually I feel sit at the very much of the hub of what's happening at the corporations and the investors and capital markets. So today, I want to contribute to the discussion from a sustainable finance and corporate sustainability professional who sees both investor expectations as well as challenges at both financial institutions, such as asset manager and corporations. So thank you very much again, and looking forward to the discussion.
Great, thank you both so much. So now we'll go into the fireside chat portion of today's discussion, and I'll let our 2 experts take it away. But first, I just would like to remind everyone that after the fireside chat, we will have a Q&A session, and you can use the Q&A function to enter your questions anytime throughout the fireside chat, and we will answer them once we head into the Q&A session. So please don't be shy about entering your questions. So Ikeda-san, Onozuka-san, please take it away.
Okay, thank you very much, Andrew. So I'll moderate this session. So Ikeda-san, long time no see. Very much.
That's not true, actually.
That's right. Very much looking forward to this session. So just for everybody's context, we have, actually, this is our 3rd interaction of this month. And we had very much a pleasure to speak about Japan's progress around and related sustainable finance in various contexts. But first in Singapore earlier this month, and second in Sapporo, outside of Tokyo, and now today a very much center of Japan. So I really want to dig some of the messages that the Ikeda-san has on various angles of this topic. So first, I want to the topic is the global trends in sustainable finance and Japan's efforts to address them. So the first starting question is that how Japanese public and private sectors are working towards the accelerate sustainable finance. So Ikeda-san, would you mind giving kind of the overview of how we have been progressing in the sustainable finance from how you see from where you sit?
Right. Well, thank you for that question. Well, the sustainable finance, well, in many ways, that concept has been called, but if we use the sustainable finance, certainly I believe that actually we are as taking the necessary steps to promote sustainable finance through the whole of the government collaboration, and as you described, through the public-private collaboration. So that is what stands out in the Japan's approach to sustainable finance overall. Of course, if we call it ESG has been mostly driven by the market participants. Of course, it is sponsored by the United Nations concept. So, and the PRI, which is a part of the overall UN organizations. But also in EU, while there is also the certain market-driven initiative in EU, but certainly policymakers and regulatory authorities are very much in the driving seat for promoting sustainable finance in Europe. But in Japan's case, I think the motivation for Japan's drive for sustainable finance is mainly so far driven by the need for addressing the kind of economic challenges faced by the Japanese industries and the Japanese economies as a whole. And particularly the competitiveness of the Japanese industries and Japanese economy needs to be maintained, and at least we need to make sure that the deteriorating competitiveness of the Japanese economy and the Japanese industry. And if we aim to do that, sustainability is an integral part of the considerations. And so we have embarked on embracing the concept of sustainable finance in that context. And by embracing that concept, we understand that addressing sustainability is a kind of risk mitigation measure for future systemic risks caused by the certain externality, which we have so far ignored for the sake of certain economic efficiency or economic activities. So we think that embracing the externality into consideration and endeavor to address those externalities would create an opportunity for Japanese industry, and also addressing them would be the proactive measure for preparing for future systemic risks. And in promoting that, we are not just relying on a market-driven initiative, but we do involve with that kind of a movement from the government standpoint. But at the same time, it's not necessarily only policy-driven or regulation-driven. We view that the collaborative approach with the private sector is critical. So, I believe that that kind of a balanced combination of the policy leadership by the public sector and at the same time the certain enhanced collaboration with the private sector is the characteristics of the Japan's overall initiative on sustainable finance. I stop here. Onozuka-san, you muted.
Sorry, I agree with you on the many of the points. And the first one about the public and private working together, I feel so much of that because when I sit on the FSA's expert group on sustainable finance, there's definitely different types of representation from the private sector side, be it the banks or securities company or even investors angle, but also their corporations, big what's called hard to abate type sector representative, as well as government official from the FSA side. So we have a very detailed and meaningful dialogue there. So I feel that the government, while giving a strong leadership in this area, the government is definitely very much keen to listen to and understand what's happening in the private sector, or what's out there. Ikeda-san, I have a question. Maybe can you showcase some of the government efforts that's related to this green transformation? The audience may not be so familiar with some of the government measures or bodies, organizations that you guys putting in place.
Right. So far, so well, first of all, the Japanese government has committed to the carbon neutrality by 2050, and almost halving the carbon emissions by 2030. That is the framework through which we aim to reduce carbon emissions, or to decarbonize the Japanese economy and society. And so in order to achieve that goal, we have developed a GX, or Green Transformation Plan. And it includes many decarbonization programs and projects. Of course, starting with the expanding the use of renewables, but at the same time, because still Japan has a relatively large manufacturing basis, the decarbonizing the manufacturing processes is also important part of our decarbonization journey. So green steel making, green chemicals, and all those things are also included in that GX plan. Of course, the GX plan requires a certain funding. So we lay out a kind of a funding plan for GX in terms of the, again, public-private partnership. So we plan to source such finance through the government by issuing the GX bond, which is issued in the form of a sovereign transition bond, will finance 20 trillion yen of the overall GX plan. The overall GX plan is estimated to need 150 trillion yen. So the gap is that 130 trillion yen. So 130 trillion yen will be financed by the private sector through the installation of the public money, so which takes a certain risks by investing in a certain early stage technologies and so on and so forth. So that kind of seed money by the government would be expected to spur private investments into the GX listed decarbonization programs and projects. And so in order to further facilitate the private sector investment in those plans, we have developed the certain climate transition finance framework, and that is aligned with the International Capital Market Association's Climate Transition Finance Handbook, and we have set out certain principles around the design of transition finance, and also it is also backed by the Japan FSA's supervisory guidance or expectation on climate-related risks. So overall, that expectation would encourage a financial institution to engage with the client companies, so that those client companies will be very prepared for the future climate-related risks. And so, in order to be well prepared for such risks, it requires them to make a certain effort to reduce their own carbon emissions, so that the future introduction of maybe certain carbon pricing schemes or increased carbon prices will eventually reduce the profitability of those companies. So in order to act proactively upon those future risks, that the transforming the business models of those companies will be essential. So overall, through those efforts, by highlighting the need for acting in a proactive way, we hope to ignite the need for private investment, private capital investment into decarbonization projects and programs financed by the private money. So in hand with the government funding, we really hope that the overall GX plan would be financed through the public and private partners.
Thank you very much. So I want to reflect on that comment from two angles. One is from the private sector, mainly the financial institutions such as banks. I see many examples of big financial institutions providing green financing. And I think even today we saw news that Risona, for the first time of all big financial institutions, give loan program hand in hand with the carbon offset consulting. So it seems that it's not just the Japan's way is not just to have the loan or that type of financial mechanism to be provided to companies, and then for companies to think on their own, but more of kind of hand in hand all the way the value chain of the finance to the impact to the social environmental side. And I see that example in other financial institutions at Mitsui and Mitsubishi. So I'll share the link of the details with the host of this conference, and the media personnel can see that later on separately. The other thing is GX Acceleration Agency. Ikeda-san, do you want to talk a little bit about that? I think it's very interesting that the government sets up such an agency to actually help to assure, actually give the credit to those who may be taking on public money to transform themselves.
Certainly, yes. So the most hotly debated topic in public-private partnership in finance is obviously blended finance. And blended finance is mingling the public money and private money. And of course, the channel, the government money sourced for GX plan is one of them is one of such channel is the GX acceleration or promotion agency. Well, that agency plans to give a certain credit guarantee so that the particular project finance or program finance for GX related initiative would be further incentivized by the certain risk sharing by the government through the agency. And so we really hope that the through that involvement by the GX acceleration agency would increase the number of GX-related projects facilitated by the certain credit enhancement or credit-related risk-taking by that agency. Well, it's just it just started operation. But we really hope that towards the end of this year and the next year, it will accelerate the operation further to see the tangible results of the project formation and the implementation.
Yeah, thank you. Also, I have put this in the chat for further information, GX Acceleration Agency. I want to shift gear to talk about the supply chain related, but before going that, I just want to reflect on this GX Acceleration Agency. So basically, it's a good topic because it kind of highlights the Japan's key issue about big organization, big corporations, big financial institutions. They make big efforts and big impacts. But actually, the real issue for Japan kind of lies in the regional areas, revitalization, as well as small companies. So I think we need to really talk about, when we talk about green transformation, we need to be talking about the regional angle and supply chain angle all the way down to first, second, third tier of companies. For the regional angle, I guess it's again a very interesting development and much related with this international financial center. We have 4 of them, I believe, and it's one definitely is Tokyo, FinCity, but also Sapporo, Osaka, and Fukuoka. I think they all are very keen, and especially Sapporo is trying to take GX as their one kind of angle to transform and showcase their ability as a global financial center. And GX guys definitely are very much interested in this from the central government as well. So I think one interesting example in Japan is that it's not just private and public angle, but regional and central angle collaboration is definitely happening. And I see that in Sapporo, maybe in Kyushu, very much away from Tokyo. So I just wanted to mention that, although this is, a media conference hosted by Tokyo FinCity. So now shifting gear to talk about the supply chain. So how financial players can accelerate Japan's green transformation at all levels of supply chain? I just want to throw that big question out to you, Ikeda-san, and maybe start talking about your thoughts on this topic.
Thank you for that question. As you described, that regional perspective is very important. And particularly, well, each region in Japan has its own characteristics and a certain different industry mix. And some region has a kind of a industrial cluster for automobile industries. So the transformation of the business through the kind of electrification of the automobile vehicles would have a significant impact on their businesses. So I understand each regional government has initiated certain activities and projects to think through that what would be the required action for transforming the regions, industries, and the businesses, so that they are they will be in the future aligned with the overall trajectory and trends of the decarbonization of Japan. And so supply chain issue is an important part of that overall regional initiative. And so even Japan FSA has collaborated with some regional government for addressing those challenges. Of course, we certainly facilitate the kind of provision of sustainable finance or green finance or transition finance through that kind of collaboration. But what is essential is that the regional banks and other financial institutions in the region would understand the issue and challenges and the act on the necessity of addressing those issues. So, of course, there are some slow starters, but I think through the certain international pressure, certain large companies can certainly convey that the message of urgency and through that channel, the certain supply chain companies will be awakened to that kind of challenges. And of course, financial institutions have a certain role to kind of for the certain door knocking activities to raise awareness of the challenges that those small and medium-sized companies in the supply chain could face in the coming years. So I think the first collaboration of the regional government, regional banks and financial institutions, and Japan FSA, and also the whole of the central government is to start with the raising awareness, and the next devising the kind of necessary action plan, and the third, and importantly, to devise a plan for financing those actions. So that kind of a step-by-step approach, although it really varies from region to region, I think taking a certain shape, and I really hope that through our efforts, those moves will be further facilitated and to bear certain fruits for the actions.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So I want to say just few things on that supply chain related. So basically, to take an example of auto sector. So what we call auto sector is very much of a big community, as everybody knows, that Keiretsu type setup. And the company that I serve on the board, Musashi Seimus Industry, they also is say a part of Honda Group, and they have been very much leaning towards all the guidance from the bigger firms. And Musashi being the first tier, Musashi deals with other second and third tier companies. And what I see, what I hear on ground is that they're still very far from, thinking green at the supply chain, deep down in supply chain level, because they're very much faced with the reality of issues such as, we cannot hire people in the regional area. So this company is in Aichi, very much away from Tokyo. And also the cost, the resource cost has risen. All these challenges are very much real for them. In the meantime, if they were made to I guess be in line with this green transformation and say the disclosure of supply chain, Japanese companies can or will march towards that. So I think the one key thing is to really get the bigger companies, the carrots top, the OEMs, for example, to really march toward this and embrace the green transformation. And the second is to, I hope some subsidy or public money or some assurance credit giving will be done for the smaller companies so that they can meet the expectation of their the higher tier companies' expectations. So I believe as we started back in mid 2010s, this whole thing for Japan is definitely not a moral based. It's part of growth strategy, as well as doing a good thing for environmental sustainability. So we need to keep marching on that where we started, that this is the part of the growth and Japan's economic sustainability journey. So with the last few minutes, I want to shift to talk about the Tokyo in focus. So Tokyo's unique advantage as a financial center and how it can contribute to the accelerating sustainable finance or green transformation in Japan. Ikeda-san, any thoughts?
Well, I think as you said, that fundamentally greening the Japanese economy is a critical part of maintaining and further strengthening the competitiveness of the Japanese economy. And I think that is a kind of shared recognition among the Japanese government. And I think that perspective is, I think, gradually shared by the industry as well. So that certainly laid a certain foundation for the public-private partnership in Japan. And so so that leads into the combination of the hard law regulation and the soft law regulation, and the more like guidance-based approach for certain policy actions. Of course, we need to seek well, the right balance, optimal balance in that policy mix. But I think at the end, certain sense of feasibility and the kind of certain convincingness of the story will be a very critical part of motivating the economic actors and incentivize their action. So we believe that our search for the right balance continues, but the overall concepts or kind of philosophy for our policy making is a valid one.
Thank you. So from the Tokyo's uniqueness advantage, I think the one very much of an example, the Tokyo prefecture or the metropolitan government is doing well is like the sushi tech that we had earlier this year. I think in order to, carry on with the green transformation, accelerate that, I think the need for new technology and also the different types of actor to be marching towards that goal. So that one of it is definitely startups. So I think those Japan's especially the biggest city like Tokyo can attract attention and capital from outside to be fueled into those newer sector or technology will certainly help Japan overall to transform itself in a green transformation way. So I would say that will be pretty much what I prepared as key questions. Ikeda-san, do you want to have a wrap-up comment for this section before we go to Q&A?
Nothing more to say. So probably we can go directly to the Q&A session because I
Thank
see
you.
some questions coming.
Sure. Let's check out the questions. I will read it out. Hold on. Okay, so the first one is what evidence have you gathered that the FSA's ESG rating code has changed behavior among providers for the better? And with jurisdictions, including UK, moving from a voluntary code of conduct to mandatory regulatory regulation, is this changing your thinking and making it more likely that Japan will also move to the latter part of the approach? And if so, how long will this might take?
Okay, thank you for that question. And it's not necessarily our kind of unilateral action that change the behavior of the ESG ratings or ESG data provider. But I think, the many federal regulators have taken a certain action to address the issue of methodology, transparency, or certain conflicts of interest in the ESG data and ratings provision. And so, they have reported us on their compliance of our code of conduct in a detailed way. So, and in reporting that compliance, they have reviewed their all relevant products and services in terms of our code of conduct or some other federal regulators' code of conduct or regulations. So that kind of a review itself, I believe, has had a significant impact on the behavior of those providers. Because I think in individual cases, there may be some complaints by the kind of rated companies or other economic entities who have certain relationship with that kind of providers. So, but I think the behavior has, to a certain extent, changed for the better way. And so that's one thing I can say for sure. Of course, we need to further make an effort in ensuring the integrity of the market by ensuring the credibility and reliability of ESG ratings and data as those information taking more prominence in the financial market decision making. Further upgrading our efforts to the certain regulatory or legislative initiative and could be a next step. But while the EU and the UK are moving in that direction ahead of us, we are also aware that this is a very new area, and acting with haste could risk making certain mistakes, and later that creates a certain need for backtracking some actions taken before. So I'm afraid that the move by EU, at least, risks that kind of backtracking. I think the more prudent approach is that through the implementation of the voluntary code of conduct, we gain insights, and based on that insights, decide on the next step. So that's the view we are taking.
Thank you.
So,
I think
sorry
have
to
many more
jump in.
questions. Sure.
I think, Anthony, you had your hand up. I'm wondering if maybe you would like to ask your question live to the panelists.
That'd be great.
Anthony, I think if you go ahead now, we should be able to hear you. Maybe not. So we'll just answer your question
Sure.
via
I'll read it out
Yeah,
first.
sure. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So from Anthony, we got I guess well, couple of questions, or a couple of I guess angles. So first one is he's saying that I don't get any sense of overall direction or who's in charge. And then followed by meaning who is deciding priorities for sustainable investment, between our example of clean energy emission controls. Also, how might a change of political leader in Japan change these priorities? So I guess there may be two big parts of the questions. Ikeda-san, do you want to answer in any order?
Question by Anthony, I don't get any sense of the meaning of that question. Who's in charge? I don't know. I don't understand.
I think he means the overall direction of sustainability investments. Who decides where to make the priorities between different areas like clean energy or things like that.
That's private sector in the end. I don't understand. What is the motivation of that question? I need more background of this question to answer. I don't understand.
Okay. Anthony may be able to speak.
Who is deciding priorities for sustainable investment?
So just to move on to the second part, Ikeda-san, if you think that the private sector is in charge of deciding most of the priorities for sustainable investment, does that mean that you feel like a change in political leadership in Japan wouldn't have a huge impact on this direction?
Yeah, potentially. But I think so far the carbon neutrality issue, or the green transformation issues, with certain administration changes, it has been the continued priority for the Japanese government so far. and I'm not sure that how much that the potential new administration would change that direction. Although that the GX plan has been decided by the cabinet, and while there would be a certain leadership change in Japan, there is not going to be a kind of ruling party's change. So there would be a certain continuation of the policy, I believe.
Great, thank you. And it looks like we have another question now. How can global asset managers participate in Japan's sustainable finance initiatives? And we only have 1 or 2 minutes left, so as much as you can go in the time constraints.
Enter into the Japanese markets, set a business space in Japan. It makes you more accessible to the in participating Japan's sustainable finance initiatives. We have established a certain special zone for the financial activities and asset management activities. And if you really wish to be deeply involved with that kind of initiative, we very much welcome your entry into the Japanese market.
Yes,
Onozuka-san, do you have anything? Go ahead from the private sector perspective.
Yeah, just to add, so I sit on the board of Daiwa Asset Management, and we deal a lot with global asset managers who has certain specialties in certain areas. So if you can bring on board, sustainable finance or sustainable investment related opportunities, be it green or social impact, I think Japanese asset managers are very much willing to work with global asset managers. So to bring good investment capabilities introduced to Japanese ultimate beneficiary. So definitely establishing an entity here, but also bring in good investment ideas, product strategy. I think that will definitely help both sides.
All right, great. So I think that was a very lively Q&A session. Do either of you have any, final words or final message to the audience before we close today's session?
I'm good.
All right, great. Well, thank you both so much for your time today. It was a great discussion on sustainable finance, and I hope all of our participants enjoyed it. And hopefully we will be seeing more of the two of you in the near future during the Sustainable Finance Forum coming up during Japan Weeks. And for any of the participants today, any other follow-up questions you have, don't hesitate to get in touch with us, and we can get back to you about any lingering questions you might have. So thank you very much for your time today, and that concludes today's session.
Thank you.
Thank you.